Addicts, it has been decades since I first heard about Deadwood, South Dakota. The truth is, ever since that day, I've wanted to see the town in person. Well, today is that day, and I can't wait. There's about 8 hours of pavement and beautiful country to see before we arrive in Deadwood. On the way, I'm checking another national park off the list. One of my goals is to hit every national park in the United States at some point in my lifetime. As you can see, I have quite a few left to check off the list. Today, we are taking the long way to Deadwood through Badlands National Park. I'm also taking advantage of some HOG Ride 365 check-in points along the way. I'll be collecting 2 state challenge coins and 1 poker chip. Join us on our journey through some of the beautiful places in the heartland of the good old US of A. Good morning, Addicts. Saturday morning. Today, we are headed to Sturgis. Not the rally, because it's not for another week. But we're gonna get there, experience the sights, and we're gonna freaking enjoy our time riding the Black Hills. Today we will hit Badlands National Park, and then we'll probably eat in Sturgis, but our hotels are actually in Deadwood. Pretty excited to see the history in the area, learn a little bit more about Wild Bill Hickok, maybe sit in his seat where he was shot. That sounds like a cool idea. But overall, it's been a great trip, having a good time. Weather's been fantastic. A little bit hot, but nothing like riding in Arizona, so I'll take it. Anyways, Addicts, we're out. Our first stop is a sign that apparently is in the middle of nowhere. I seriously almost turned around a few times and skipped this stop because we had already traveled 20 plus minutes off the beaten path and the sign was nowhere to be found. I finally found it, grabbed the pic, and submitted it for the State of Nebraska Challenge coin. The Sandhills Journey Scenic Byway is a 200-mile 2-lane road that stretches through the heart of the Nebraska prairies. It's a rather unique area as grass-covered sand dunes dot the landscape along with rivers and ponds throughout. Truthfully, it is different than the regular hills and prairies that make up the vast majority of Nebraska. Not far from the Sandhills of Nebraska is Carhenge, and that's where we're headed next. What's up, Addicts? Here we are at Carhenge in Alliance, Nebraska, checking off another Ride 365 stop. I guess this would be the 10 rides for 2023. Anyways, pretty cool roadside attraction. Wouldn't make a special trip for it, but if you're in the area, make a stop. Addicts, talk about a unique stop. This place is actually considered a roadside art gallery. The idea for Carhenge was developed by the relatives and family members of Jim Reindeers. While gathered after the death of Jim's father, the relatives agreed to build a memorial in Mr. Reindeer's honor. 5 years later, they all returned to the farm and built Carhenge. They dedicated it on the summer solstice. We gotta give a shout out to that family. What a cool memorial and a great idea. It's also my understanding that Carhenge matches the size and layout of the OG Stonehenge across the pond in England. It has been a great ride so far, but I am struggling with the flatness of the land. I definitely prefer riding through mountains where there is more to see and experience. It's not that the prairies aren't beautiful, because really they are, very beautiful. It's just the lack of diversity and scenery that's getting to me. Regardless, I'm on two wheels, so why am I complaining? One of the things I love about riding is finding those small towns that existed decades ago, but are now forgotten to history. The town of Scenic, South Dakota was a cool little ghost town on the way to Badlands National Park. Based on the signage, Scenic is clearly from a time in U.S. history when the Native Americans were not appreciated and respected as they should be. Earlier in the day, we passed the Wounded Knee Memorial. It stands as a reminder of some of the mistakes that were made as the United States expanded westward towards the Pacific Ocean. I love immersing myself in the history of these places that I visit while riding my Harley. Addicts, what you're looking at right there are 2 iron horses and a herd of buffalo. Freaking awesome. Just like that, out of nowhere, a herd of buffalo roaming the plains. Now this is awesome. I love it. As much fun as we are having though, we are both starving. So hoping to find a town with a restaurant much sooner than later. Looks like it's the Wagon Wheel Bar and Grill for lunch. Actually, it's a cool little place right outside Badlands National Park. I can't say it's a 3 Michelin restaurant, but our hot dogs did hit the spot. Addicts, we finally made it to Badlands National Park. I have to say, when planning this trip, this place really didn't excite me. I'm a desert dweller, so I feel like I live in the Badlands of Arizona. I see dry and dusty landscapes all day, every day in Phoenix. That being said, I was intrigued by the landscapes within the national park. So sit back and enjoy the scenery. There are a few places you have to visit when here at Badlands National Park. Make sure these 3 stops are on your itinerary whenever you visit. First stop is Panorama Point. It is a great place to really see the entirety of Badlands National Park. The second stop is White River Valley Overlook. This highlights the Badlands desert terrain against the backdrop of a lush green valley. Simply beautiful. The final stop is the Big Badlands Overlook. This one is located just inside the Northeast Park entrance. There are also a number of hiking trails in the park. I'd love to sit here and say I've been on them and give you a great review, but let's just say hiking, that takes way too much effort. I'm more of a sit back and enjoy the ride kind of guy. I have been told that the hikes are amazing, especially around sunrise or sunset. So take that for what it's worth. Also, a pro tip for those traveling with kids. There's a place called Prairie Homestead located just outside the park boundaries. The kids will love this place. There are thousands of these cute prairie dogs to just sit and watch for hours. Trust me, if you got kids that are restless, stop here and you get 2 to 3 hours of stress-free traveling. Wall Drug is a world-famous institution that was started by a pharmacist looking for a small town with a Catholic church to set up his business. He landed in Wall, South Dakota, and affectionately referred to the town as a place in the middle of nowhere. Mr. Husted opened his pharmacy in 1931, but business was slow as the town only had 203 residents. Then Mrs. Husted had the idea to advertise free ice water with a billboard on the I-90. The idea was to attract travelers that were headed to the newly opened Mount Rushmore to the west. It was genius, and as they say, the rest is history. Today, more than 2 million people visit Wall Drug every year. It has become so popular that they even have a sign advertising free ice water planted in Antarctica.
Can I help you?
Yes. Can I get a hot fudge malt?
Sure. Anything else?
That's it?
$6.19.
I have to say the ice cream is delicious, and if that's the only reason you visit Wall Drug, it's well worth the trip. You can't visit Wall Drug without walking across the street to Badlands Harley-Davidson. This is where I collected my 3rd dealer pin of the trip. Yes, I'm still a little bitter at John Elway Harley, as this should have been my 4th dealer pin. However, I can find it in my heart to forgive John Elway for the oversight. Our next stop is Rapid City and Black Hills Harley-Davidson. Much to our liking, the vendors were in full swing even though the rally was a week away. Sturgis has become so big that the week before the rally, the vendors now hold an event called the Pre-Rally Rollout. And after that, they hold a second event called the Post-Rally Roll-Up. That's the week after the actual rally. This just gives you an idea of how big Sturgis really is and the impact it has on the local economy. That being said, I have to warn you, if you don't want to spend money, do not walk through the vendors area. They have so many great things to buy. It's hard not to just hand them your wallet and say, "One of everything, please." Apparently, Hitch wanted to donate to the local economy, and that's how our bikes ended up in the garage. Hitch ordered up new suspensions, both front and back, and I ended up with a new radio, saddleman seat, and a rear lighting display. Let's just say the IRONHORSE Addicts did their part in adding to the local economy. I had no intentions of spending a dime and walked out a couple dozen Benjamins lighter in the wallet. Just be careful. Addicts, what a busy day. It has been awesome, and I've loved every minute of it. We're headed to Deadwood for the night to hit up our hotel and then find a steakhouse for dinner. Addicts, this is from my hotel room here in Deadwood. We're staying at the historic Silverado Franklin Hotel in downtown Deadwood. is freaking awesome. The bathtub, it's freaking awesome too. I've never seen one like this before. We chose Legends Steakhouse for dinner. This place was recommended by a few awesome peeps that follow me on Instagram. This place was delicious. Clearly Hitch was starving as he ordered a 35-ounce prime rib. That hunk of meat could have fed 4 people. While the meal was awesome, the creme brulee, not our cup of tea. It was unique for sure, but our palates were not fans. That's a wrap, addicts. Until next time, live life at 100 miles per hour. Next week on Sturgis 2023, we finally get a taste of the Black Hills. We'll visit Mount Rushmore, thread the needle on Needles Highway, hit the twisties on Iron Mountain Road, and visit the world-famous Iron Horse Saloon. Join us next week on Iron Horse Addiction.